Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Cyber Seniors webinar. Today, we are going to be covering email. So today is going to be a beginner's guide to email. Before we get started, I'm happy to say that today's webinar is sponsored by Breezeline. Breezeline is the 8th largest cable provider in the US, offering internet, TV, and voice services to residents and businesses in 12 states. So if you'd like to learn more about Breezeline and what they offer, you can check them out after this webinar at www.breezeline.com. But before we do jump in, we're going to see a quick video from them, and then we'll get underway.
Wi-Fi your way home, powered by Flume Home Pass. Technology that spreads ultra-fast Wi-Fi to every inch of your home. We make having a Wi-Fi supercharged home easy by including a SuperPod with your Wi-Fi gateway package. Learn more at breezeline.com.
All right, so as I said, today is going to be a beginner's guide to email. So what we're going to cover today is we are going to cover the different email services that are available, how to create an email address, how to send email, how to reply to email, how to delete emails, and how to sort emails. And then lastly, how to identify phishing emails, which are a sort of scam email that are pretty prevalent in the world of email. So just to begin with, for people who are brand new to the concept of email, email is short for electronic mail. So email allows you to send messages without paper or use of the post office, but it's meant to replicate what mail is, but in an internet version. So basically, email is information stored on a computer that is exchanged between two users over telecommunication. So more plainly, email is just a message that may contain text, files, or images, or other attachments sent through a network to a specified individual or group of individuals. So there are many email providers available to use for free. Today, we're going to go into detail on how to create and send emails with a Gmail account as our example, though there are many other email services available out there, and we'll do a quick review of some of them before we get started, just so you're familiar in case you want to go with another option. So what are the benefits of using email if you're not on there already? First of all, it's free communication. As long as you have an internet connection, you can use email and it's free to use. It's beneficial for the planet, so we're not using, as much paper, and we're not having to transport letters through the post office as we would with traditional mail. It's easily accessible. So as I said, as long as you have an internet connection, which hopefully you do, and maybe it's through Breezeline, you can access email and send emails to anyone in the world. So that's fantastic. And the fourth thing is it allows for mass contact. So you can send emails to large groups of people if you wish. So if you're planning a reunion or something like that, it's really the easiest way to send out mail, specifically for events. A lot of people don't really send traditional invites to things like weddings or other reunions these days. Often they're over email. So it's important for that factor as well. Now, since we will be focusing mainly on Gmail, a bit about Gmail before we jump in. Gmail is a free web service owned by Google. So Google owns Gmail. That's what the G stands for. And Gmail has many integrated services with it, including Google Drive, Docs, and Calendar. So if you're unfamiliar with those, if you're new to email, I'd assume you would be. Those are just other services that include storage, include a service where you can write documents, and an online calendar that you can use all for free. And it's all included when you get a Gmail account. So it has a lot of these integrated features that make it so much more than an email account, and they're really fantastic. And the last point I'll make on Gmail is the most widely used email service with over 1 billion active users monthly. They are followed by Outlook, which is Microsoft's email platform, and they have 400 million active users a month. So you can tell and see just by that Google has a really big stronghold on the email game. Since we will be looking at Gmail, I wanted to give it its own slide, but there are other email services out there that are popular that you may want to check out. They include Outlook. So as I already mentioned, Outlook is Microsoft's email service. It also includes things like a calendar and the ability to manage tasks, and it's the second largest email service out there. It's pretty straightforward. It works very similarly to Gmail. So if you're looking for an alternative to Gmail, it's a good option. We also have Proton Mail, which is a privacy and security focused email service that uses client-side encryption to protect email contacts and user data before they are sent. So if you're really into privacy and want a really secure email, this one is for you. There's also iCloud Mail, which is the free email service from Apple. It's set up at iCloud.com. So if you already have an Apple device, say an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac computer, you probably have to have an iCloud account. And so if you're setting up from the beginning, it may be of interest to you just to set up an iCloud email so that all your accounts are connected. Next, we have Yahoo Mail. This is one of the earliest top free email services. So it's one of the kind of originals. The current version offers web interface with a really minimal look, and it's pretty straightforward. So if you're looking for a really straightforward, simple email service, Yahoo is a great option, much like Gmail and Outlook. It's one of those kind of early email services with all the basics that you need. All right, so now we're going to jump into how to create an email, how to send email, and all of that. And as I said, we're going to be using Gmail as our example here. So we'll jump right in with how to create an account. All right, to start making a Gmail email account, you're going to start by going to gmail.com. So you can either put that in your search bar on your internet browser or in the URL bar at the top of the internet browser. And you should be doing this on the internet browser from a computer, tablet, or phone. I think it's the better method. You can do it from an app on a tablet or phone, but I prefer doing it from the browser, but that's just me. So we'll start by going to gmail.com. And if you have yet to sign in to an email account or create one, you'll just automatically be brought to this sign in page. Now, since you don't have an email yet, you're going to have to create an account. So you'll do so by clicking down here where my mouse is circling, where it says create account. So I'll just click that. And then if this is for yourself, just select for myself. And I think most likely it will be. You can also do it for a child or to manage a business. But in this case, we're going to go with for myself. So it's just going to ask you to fill out a form with your first name, last name, and then create a username and a password. So I'll start by filling in my first name. Now you'll just click on each field as you go through, and you know you're able to start typing once you see that little flashing line there. Great, so I put in my name. The next thing is to create a username. It can suggest a username for you. So here it's suggesting mcassidy0. Here are other available names too. You can try, simplifying it or making it something else, but there's a lot of emails out there, so your email may already be taken, the one you want. So you may have to get creative, add numbers and stuff like that. So we'll go with the mcassidy0 that they suggested. That means my email address is going to be mcassidy0@gmail.com. All right, next I'm going to do my password. Now, on a password, there's just one requirement, I think, with Google, and it's that it's 8 or more characters, and it has to be a mix of letters and numbers. I don't think you need any capital letters on this. Some sites do require you to, but Google is pretty lax in terms of their password rules. So I think as long as it hits that 8 character or more limit, then you're good. So I will type in a password here and try to keep your password something that's complicated, but also something you can remember. By using a mix of letters and numbers, don't use obvious dates or street names or stuff like that. Things that can be easily guessed by someone who knows even just a bit of information about you. You then have to confirm the password by typing it in here, just to make sure that there were no mistakes in the first typing of it. If you're unsure of what you typed and want to make sure, because you will just get these little dots that protect what you've written, you can click show password and it will show what you've typed up here as your password. So once this is all filled out, we'll just go ahead and click next. Now, the next step is to give some information. So you have the option to include a phone number on your account. This is so if you say got logged out, you could recover the account. It's used for security purposes for stuff like two-factor authentication, which pretty much means you can confirm a login from your phone if it's on a new device to make sure, an unwanted person isn't entering your account. It can be useful. It's only really useful, in my opinion, if you have a cell phone. Doing the phone call options on a landline is a bit difficult. So up to you if you want to do it. I'm not going to do it for now, but I do have it on my normal account. So I do suggest it just as a safety protocol. You can then enter a recovery email address. This is also optional. So what this means is you can enter a different email, say an email of a trusted friend or family member. And if you ever do get logged out, can't remember your password, anything like that, you can have the reset information or the login information sent to that recovery email. So you only use this if it's someone you really, really trust to have that kind of ability. But it's also a good safety protocol if you happen to, be forgetful and forget passwords. The next thing is your date of birth. This is required. It doesn't say optional, so I do have to put it in. You can put in your real date of birth. You don't have to if you don't feel comfortable. It doesn't really affect kind of the access to an account you have. So if you don't feel comfortable, put in a fake date of birth. I've just put in a fake date of birth for the sake of this. But if you do, go ahead and put in your date of birth. And then gender, again, you can put it in, or you could say rather not say. So we'll just select that. And then if you do want to know why they ask for this information, you can click here and it will open up this whole page about why they're asking for this information if you're curious. But if you're not, the next step you'll take is just to click next. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to ask you to accept the privacy and terms. And you can read through this whole thing. You'll just have to scroll to the bottom, and you can even get more options on privacy and activity, all sorts of things down here. So do read this through just so you know what's being collected in terms of data and information. But if all is well and you agree with it, just click I agree. Now, once you click I agree, your email should be created and you can start using it. So it's just going to load up my Gmail account now. Here I am with my brand new Gmail account. All right, now that you have a email account, a Gmail email, we can go ahead and start sending emails. So with Gmail, the word they use to create a new email is compose. So that's what you're looking for on your screen. So if you wish to start writing an email to someone, you're just gonna come up here into this top left corner and press compose. If you are using an email on a phone or a tablet and you're using the Gmail app or another mail app, this might look a bit different, but it will either say compose or include this little plus button. That's usually their symbol on their email apps to create new mail. So to start, we'll just click compose. Now when we click compose, we will have this little window down here pop up. And within this window, we will start filling out details to send our email. So the first thing we need to do is put in who the email is going to in the to field. So up here, the first field here is the to field. So we can just tap there or click there and we'll see that our line pops up and we can start typing. And this is where we'll type in the email address of the person we want to send it to. So I'm going to send it to my work email, so I can do it here. And once I've put that in successfully and I've made sure that it's correctly spelled and everything, I can either click the enter or return key on my keyboard, or I can enter in a comma, and either one will make sure that that's locked in. So now you'll see the email is kind of encircled here. That means it's locked in and good to go. If I wanted to get rid of it, I could just click delete or backspace on my keyboard to take it out and start again. So when we're sending an email, we can send it through the to field, or we can use what's called the CC or BCC fields that we see over here. So I'm just going to click on this to expand these out. So the CC field stands for carbon copy. We would use this if we were including someone on an email so they could see the information that we were sending, but it's not really meant for them directly. So we're sending it directly to the person in the to field, and the person in the CC field is just attached to the email so they're aware of what's going on with the communication. It's kind of just like a, hey, by the way, sort of thing. So we can put an email in there as well. I'll just put my same email in there just for the sake of the example here. And then we can lock that in. Now the BCC field is similar to the CC field. It's also a copy, so you're just kind of including someone just so they're aware of the communication. But the B stands for blind, so it means that they are not visible to other people in the email. So you can basically secretly include someone on the email thread so they can see the communication, but no one else in the to field or the CC field will be aware that they are present on the email chain. So there's many ways this is useful. Sometimes it can be useful for sending out mass mail where you're sending it to many people at once and you don't want to compromise their privacy by showing them each other's emails or something like that. But you can get creative and think of the ways that can be useful to you. Then the next thing is to fill out the subject. So the next line down is the subject. This is where we put basically the title of our email message, what we think is important for the person to know before they open it. It's really important that you keep this short and succinct because it will get cut off on the screen. If I can minimize this here, you'll see this is an email that I've received here. And from here to here, that's the space you have, and sometimes less depending on the size of the person's screen, to write your subject. If it goes beyond that, it gets cut off and the person can't read the end of it. So you want to make sure you keep it as succinct as possible. So I'm just going to put in checking in about lesson today. So say I'm writing an email to remind someone about a lesson we have. All right. Then the next step is to write the body of your email. So this giant blank space down here is where we'll compose our actual message, and we can just start typing. Anyway, so we can start typing, we'll write out our message. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And then at this point in time, we're ready to send it. We'll just go down here to the bottom where it says send, and we'll click send. Now there's lots of other options down here and buttons, as you'll see, things like formatting options so you can change the size, the text style, and the color of what you're writing. There's this paperclip where you can attach files to your email, so photos or videos or documents, and all sorts of other stuff. And you can find out what each of these does by basically putting your mouse over top of it and seeing, it will tell you what it is there. So those are the other options there. There's also this little trash can over here, which means you can discard the draft. So just you decided you're not sending the email, you can just delete it. But if all is well and you do want to send this email out, simply just click send, and it's sent, and you should see right down here in the bottom left, message sent. So it should have gone out now, and you'll just wait for the other person to receive it, and it should be in a matter of seconds. Okay, so responding or replying to an email. So once you've gotten your email and you've told your friends and family what your address is and you want to start using it, you can start receiving email. So here I've received an email. It's from myself for the sake of this example, but here it is with the subject, welcome to the world of email. So in order to open this email, I'll just have to click on it. And just so you know, when you're receiving emails, any emails that are bolded like this, where the font is bold, that means it's an unopened email. You haven't yet opened it. Anything where it's kind of this grayish color and the text is not bolded, that means I've already opened that email. I've already read it. So that's how you can tell which ones are new or old. You'll also see the timestamp or date over here on the right, so you can see when the email came in. So I'll open it by just clicking on it, and it will open this email kind of full screen here. And here I am, I can read it. Here's the subject up here. Here is who it's from. It's from myself here. If I kind of put my mouse over it, I can also see the address. So if I wanted to copy that down for future reference, I have it. But now that this person has emailed me, if I go to write an email, most likely my to field will auto-complete as I type in their email. So it will remember them, which is really nice. But if not, you can also click this little plus button to add them to your contacts so you can more easily communicate with them in the future. Here's the email. Awesome. Now I want to reply. Now I have two options about how to reply to this email. There's a button right up here. It says reply. If I put my mouse over it, it's this little kind of curved arrow. And there's also a reply button down at the bottom of the email. If the email is longer, you may have to scroll to the bottom to see this. And this might be more accessible to you. But either way, you can click this button up here or this button down here. Now, there's also next to this the forward button, and just to let you know what that does, that allows you to forward the email to someone new. So you could click it, you could enter in someone else's email address and send them along the message. So that can be useful sometimes too, but for today, we're going to focus on just replying. So I'll click on reply, and that will open up a little email here. Now, when you're replying to an email, you don't need to do the same things you did when you created a new email. You don't need to put in who it's going to. You don't need to fill in the subject. That's already done by the person who sent it to you. You're just replying on that email chain or thread. So any messages now that are sent back and forth under this subject to the sender will exist on one email thread, and we'll be able to go back and see all of the past correspondences in that thread. So that's a nice thing about email as well, is it keeps those messages kind of organized within threads under subjects, and it can be really helpful to go find old messages and communications. So once I'm here, we'll see my little flashing line is already in the composing field, so I can just start typing my response. All right, so here I have written my response, and then again, if I want to, I can, change the font and format settings or attach files or use any of these features down here. But if I'm ready to go and I'm happy with my response, I'll just click send. And now I've responded to that email. And now we can see, from looking at this, we can see the original email that was sent and the response here. And then if a response comes in from that email, that will be added to the bottom of this. So we can always go back and look at the previous emails there. All right, so the next thing we are going to look at is how to delete emails, how to recover deleted emails, how to mark emails as spam or junk, and how to unmark things as spam or junk. So the first thing we're going to go over is how to delete an email. So when you have an email, you can leave it in your inbox forever and let it sit there. They don't really take up that much space, and you're not really at risk of running out of space on your email. But if for some reason you do want something gone, you want it deleted off of your inbox list, you have two ways of doing this. You can either click into the email, find it in here, and then once you're in here, you'll see that you have a bunch of buttons and options here at the top of here. You can find the trash can, that's the delete button, and you can just click on that, and that will delete the email. The other option you have is from the list itself. If you hover your mouse over the email, you should see that same delete button right there, that trash can, and you can delete it from there. And that's how you can delete a singular email, just by clicking on those trash buttons. Now, say you had multiple emails you wanted to delete. You'll see these little kind of check boxes, right? My mouse is covering them, on the left side of each email. These you can click to select, and then at this point you can select multiple emails. So say I wanted to delete both of these emails, I would click both of the check boxes. And when I start selecting emails, those same options that we saw inside of the email when we opened it show up at the top here, and we can also click that delete button from there. So with this, I'm just going to delete the one email. And now you'll see, because I've deleted it, it's gone from here. Now, if I say accidentally deleted an email and I want to go back and put it back on my main list, I'll have to go to my trash can to find it. So your trash can is going to be over here on the left side. So you'll see right now that inbox is highlighted. Your inbox is where you receive all your mail, but it's not the only area or folder that exists in your inbox. There's actually many, including a starred folder, a snoozed, a sent folder, a drafts folder, and more. So you'll go over here, you'll see that there's this more button. You'll click it, and you'll scroll down here on the left side until you see your trash. If I click into trash, there is that email that I deleted. You can read here that messages that have been in the trash for more than 30 days will be deleted automatically. So when you delete an email, it puts it in the trash. After 30 days, it permanently deletes. So you do have 30 days to recover an email, after which it's gone forever. So say that happened and you wanted to recover this email, you'd come into your trash. You could either click into the email or select it, whichever you prefer. But we'll click in for this example. And what we'll do is at the very top of my email here, you should see this option. It's meant to look like a file folder with an arrow on it. It's called the Move To button. We'll tap on this button here, Move To, and then you're going to get a drop-down list of areas of your inbox. And you can click Inbox, and it will move it back into your main email. So we'll go back up to our inbox now. And there it's been returned successfully. So that's how you delete or recover a deleted email. Now the next thing I want to show is how to mark an email as spam. So your spam folder is where emails go that maybe, from companies trying to sell you things, coupons, just junk that you don't want in your mail, same as you would get in your real mailbox. And what you can do is you can train your email to understand what you view as junk or spam and what you don't want to see and what you do want to see. And you do this by marking those emails as spam. As you do this, your email will recognize the kind of communications you don't want to see, and it will start moving things into your spam folder automatically. Now, the system isn't perfect. Sometimes it will miss emails, and sometimes it will put emails in there unintentionally. So it's just as important to know how to mark emails as spam as it is to know how to mark them as not spam. So when we want to mark an email as spam, it's the same thing as with delete. We can either select the email if we want to move multiple ones in, and we get these options above, or we can click into the email. Now the button to mark an email as spam is right next to the delete button. It's this one right here. Looks like a stop sign with an exclamation point. That is the report spam button. So if I want to report this as spam, I'll just click that button. It's been marked as spam, and now it's out of my inbox. And again, if I want to find this and recover it or mark it as not spam, I'll go over here to the left. I'll click more and scroll down until I find that spam folder. And there's the email right there. Now, same as deleted, when things are in your spam folder for more than 30 days, they will get permanently deleted. So it works similarly to the delete folder, just that it's also helping organize your inbox. And if I wanted to put this back, say I went into my spam folder and I found an email there that I didn't want or intend to be there, I could again select it or click into it. And I should see a button at the top appear that says not spam, and that will put it back into my inbox if I click on it. Now, it is important to check your spam folder every once in a while, maybe every couple weeks, just to make sure you didn't miss any emails that you actually wanted to see in your main inbox. Because as I said, it's not a perfect system, and sometimes Communications from a new sender, say a friend who hasn't emailed you before, might show up in there. So just check it out every once in a while to see. But for the most part, as you get emails in and the kinds you don't want to receive, feel free to mark them as spam rather than deleting them, because that way your email knows in future, hey, they don't want to see these kinds of emails. We'll put them in the spam folder before they even get to their inbox. Okay, so the last thing we are going to do is focused on how we organize our email and our inbox and sort through mail. Now, there's kind of, I'd say, 4 ways that we can sort and manage our inbox and the emails we receive in our email. The first is just to use the search tool. So at the top of your inbox, whether you're using Gmail or any other service, you should always see a search bar. And this allows you to search through your email. You can search for things like the sender, what was written in the subject, or what was written in the email. So say you were looking for receipts from online shopping, you could easily look that up in a second by just searching for it in your email. I don't have any yet, but that could narrow down what I'm looking for. So if your email is unorganized and you're trying to just get started on organizing it, using that search tool to search in mail is a great first step. But if you really want to get your email more organized, put things in folders, mark things according to, what they're about, then there's a few better ways to do that. So the first tool we have at our disposal for organizing our inbox is this starred tool. So you'll see this little star here next to these emails. I can click that, and all it does is it puts a little star next to that email. And whenever I star something, it ends up in my starred folder, which is right here under my inbox on the left side. And so if I click in here, I can see that starred email. If I unstar it, it will be removed from this spot and just exists only in my inbox. So when I star something, it exists in my main list, but also in the starred portion. Generally, people use the starred features to mark important emails, maybe ones that they need to remember to reply to or get back to. And sometimes we don't use this as a permanent thing, just to mark it maybe for a few weeks until we deal with it. Or I, for example, use this if I get some sort of code, like from a company that they tell me, like, you need this access code to access your account in the future, or anything like that. That's how I generally use my starred folder. So you can use it as you wish. It's a pretty, vague usage. You use it as it works for you. And it works just by clicking the star. And once you click the star in an email, they get put in here. Remove the star, and it's removed from the folder. So that's starring emails. The next thing that Google provides as a organizational feature is this little button. It's like a little flag on something. This is where you mark emails as important or not important. It's just something that you can search for later and decide if things are important. So it's also a folder over here on the left side, as you can see. And so this is another thing that Google will do. Google will itself mark emails that you receive as important or not important. It will make that distinction as it begins to understand your email habits, what emails you're opening, what emails you're responding to. So this is also something you can train it to do. But generally, you can mark things that aren't otherwise marked as important, or remove them, and then they appear in this important folder. And again, it's just a way to mark things that, may be higher priority for you than other communications. So that's another easy, quick tool and way to organize and sort your inbox. The final way to sort your inbox and the kind of most crucial way is to create folders or labels. So on Google, we can create labels in one of 2 ways and mark things in one of 2 ways, either by clicking into an email and exploring this up here. So here's our label feature. It's right up here at the top. So we can do that from within an email. We can also do it by selecting emails, and we get these options up here. So when you want to label something or create a label anew, you will select the email or go into it, and you'll click this label button right up here. There are preset labels that you can use. So you can select any of these and you can label something as, social or whatever it is, and it organizes it into these kind of folders here. But I'm going to unmark it there because I don't want it in there. But we can create our own customized ones. So say I wanted to create a label for any emails that I was getting that were personal or for work or whatever. I would select it, I'll click label, and then I'll come down here and I'll click create new. Now I can enter the name of a label, we'll call this just personal, and I'll click create. That is now a label, and we can see that on this email here, it's marked right there as being personal. And so it just marks it on the list. I can see that it's a personally labeled email. But if I go to my left side and I look at my folders, now we'll see that I have this label / folder here called personal, and it also exists there. So I can go through and I can start marking things. Maybe it's receipts, maybe it's, personal emails, work emails, whatever it may be. I can make labels for whatever makes sense, and then I mark them that way. The other thing you can do after you've created a new label is you can visit the folder here, and if you click the 3 dots down here, you can actually change the label color. So if you want it to be a bit more distinct, I can change it to say orange. And now when I'm in here, I'll see I have a personal label there, and it's bright and orange so I can see it, and it's easily distinguishable from the rest of the things on the list. Now, using labels can be a bit more complicated, and there's other ways to go about using them. I'll leave it at that for now in its simplest form, but you can really get creative with how you use them, and they're just there to use as you wish. There's no set way that you have to use them or should use them. They're for you to make your own personal choices about how you organize your inbox. Okay, so now that we've talked about how to create an email and send the emails and reply and all that, it's important to talk about some of the security risks that come with email. And one of the biggest security risks that come with email is something known as phishing. So phishing is the practice of sending emails from a purportedly reputable company or individual in order to extract personal information such as passwords or credit card details from someone. So phishing can be really easy to find and see and deal with if you know what you're looking for. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you can get caught up in a phishing scam. So we're going to go over an example of what a phishing email looks like, and I'll let you know what to look out for and things you can look for in the emails you're receiving. So the most common signs of a phishing email are things like urgent or threatening language, strange links, email addresses that don't match the sender, and poor spelling and grammar. So phishing emails can come from a variety of sources. They can appear as if they're coming from an individual, a company, a financial institution. So we really don't know where they'd be coming from. And so we can't predict, it's always going to be coming from, this sender. They come from so many different places. So we have some things we can look out for. It may be an individual appeal, right? Someone sending you an email saying you won $1 million, and in order to collect it, you need to give me this information, stuff like that. Or it can be coming from a company like it is in our example here. So our example here is a fake email that's come from Amazon Prime. And this really hits some of those key signs that we've talked about. So the use of urgent or threatening language. So this email says, attention, your $150 Prime credit expires on 12/28. So it's giving you a deadline, right? That's the first sign that this email might be a bit sketchy. First of all, it's promising something pretty grand, which is also another telltale sign, promising a lot of money or threatening in some way. And it's giving you that deadline, which means it's urgent. You have to do it right away. So they're giving you a deadline so that you don't have time to think about it. You just have to act without reading carefully or considering the content of the email. The next thing is strange links. So you'll see throughout this, there's links scattered throughout. Please visit here now to get your reward. You have to click on this link. You have to click out of this email to access whatever it is we're offering. So there you go right there. And if you were to hover over that URL, it's hidden, right? They've hidden the actual URL as it is under linked text, so you can't actually see where they're leading you. So that's another telltale signs they're hiding the actual www dot whatever the link is under a piece of text. The next is that the email addresses don't match the sender. So we can see right here up at the top where the sender is Amazon update at efficaciouscrbase.xyz, right? This is not an email coming from Amazon.com. If you were receiving an email from Amazon, it would be whatever the username is at Amazon.com or at Amazon.ca, depending on where you are. So that is also another important thing to look out for. That is not matching the sender. Something's off, something's misspelled. And sometimes it can be really obvious like this, and sometimes it's just one letter off. So it's really important to look carefully at that. And then poor spelling or grammar. This one's actually not written so badly, but that's another thing you're going to be looking for. They'll just be, blatant mistakes in spelling and grammar. Often these emails are sent out in mass and they just make many attempts at it. So because they're sending out so many emails, they're just hoping to catch people who are not paying close attention. So for them, spelling and grammar is usually not that important. So if you see that, that's also another telltale sign, especially if it's coming from a company. Those things should be better proofread. So if you're seeing obvious spelling or grammar issues, that's another thing to look out for. And just to say, when you do receive a phishing email and you're suspicious it's a phishing email and you're not sure, the best thing to do is to either just immediately delete that email or mark it as spam. You may want to mark it as spam so that future emails from that sender don't get put in your main inbox, so to protect yourself. But deleting it works just as well. As long as you don't click on the links or reply to the email, you are safe. You are not at risk by just simply receiving a phishing email. We all get them. You put yourself at risk by giving up information or clicking on links. So as long as you don't do that and you just delete it right away, then you're good to go. If you do happen to do that, don't worry. Reach out to a trusted friend who maybe knows more about it, or to us at Cyber Seniors after, and we'll be able to try to help you walk through steps of how you can try to either rectify the situation or understand what information you've put at risk. So that is all for today. Thank you for listening. If you do have any questions, as I said, you can always call us toll free at our number, which is 844-217-3057. Or you can visit us at our website, which is www.cyberseniors.org. And once again, this webinar was proudly sponsored by Breezeline, and you can check them out at www.breezeline.com to find out more. All right. I hope you are all having a lovely day, and thanks for listening.